really. Let's just make stuff up, right? Right. It's called an invention. So Jay's who actually he had a comment I read today about the idea. If you guys didn't know or don't know what I'm talking about, yesterday's video I talked about in a centrifugal the brake system on the you basically have either magnetic or the centrifugal brakes. I can't talk today. I know. I have not been drinking. Well, Diet Coke. You drink enough Diet Coke, it'll make you crazy. But he brought up the idea of like I've had several ideas, right? And these reels right here show it. The SyngleLyfeStyle handle. I know a lot of you guys don't get it, but it's not. I didn't invent this. I just basically put this on the smaller BFS stuff, and I've had several people talk about it. I even had a magazine interview me overseas somewhere. I don't even remember exactly where. If you guys remember where, somebody may even have a magazine or whatever where they talked about it. Because here in the United States, this is not a popular thing, but there's several other places where that little, and I make them myself. I don't sell them to anybody else. I don't give them away. And if you happen to buy a reel and you ask for it, like Brew Tank, I left the one on the Aldebaran 22. That is sort of my baby invention as far as way to, I guess, in my opinion, enhance for sure how BFS works, because BFS kind of, you can take over a spinning gear and it kind of goes where that ultralight line, different stuff, and sometimes you want and need access to quick drag adjustments, what kind of makes some of the spinning gear, how the drags will work. So anyway, thinking about all that, and you guys have heard me, this is nothing new for those of you guys that are new to the channel. I got crazy ideas in my head. But as I talked about in the braking system, they have pins. And that's what I talked about yesterday. And Jay commented, he don't know if he'd ever seen anybody that had tried that, a company to where the pins, they're either usually just free floating, they fly around, or they're spring loaded kind of deal to where you can shut them off, but then when you open them, they're not really out. There's a little spring pressure holding them from rubbing, and those are the ones typically used just with if you have a dual system with the magnets. So what I've also had ideas on as far as fishing reels go, do we want to get into that? Well, if you guys don't know, I actually put a video out on it. The TD Ito, I talked about how if we went down that rabbit hole, what if Daiwa wouldn't have just kind of went all in on the T-wing system, right? And now we have this Zillion. What if they'd have took the old Zillion platform, and another guy, Nate, was commenting about the refinement process, right? He didn't necessarily, some people say, oh, they call it refined, they just change the color and mark the price up. But, there's definitely refinement going on over the years in everything, pretty much. If you have the same thing, right? You make a wheel, and then over the years, the wheel gets fine-tuned, right? So there's a video out there with me talking about the TD Ito, what I would have liked to have seen done if they'd refined that. Just like I talked about that I wish they would have took the Corrado and basically made that into titanium, or the Aldebaran. Like, there's several different ways these reel manufacturers can go, and they will refine a reel sometimes. Other times they scratch it and then they change completely. Just like Shimano did back in the day with they had the Corrado E, which was an awesome reel. They took that away, put it into the Chronarch E. They came out with a reel that was the G, I believe is what they called it. Because they had the D, the E. I don't think was there ever a Chronarch, or there was a Chronarch D. I don't think there's a Corrado D. Anyway, that's how they, up as they go. So then they came out with the G that my understanding, I never owned one. A lot of guys claimed it was a good, solid reel. Problem was, it wasn't as well liked, and it didn't look as cool, and just wasn't as liked as much as the Corrado E was at the time. So I think it lasted a year, maybe two, kind of like I'm hoping the Aldebaran 22 does. And then they revamp it, they change, and they completely changed it out, if you guys remember right. So anyway, if they would have taken the Zillion, or the TDZ is the one I was talking about, that basic Zillion platform, the Japanese version was the TDZ and had several variants of that reel over the years. They refined it, but they never really tried to just take that shape and leave it, but shrink it a little, get it lower onto the reel seat. And I talked about that in several videos, how they could have done it just based off the one I had, how they could have dropped that thing several millimeters down to give it a more palming comfort feel. And they could have refined that reel. You know, it had more refinement in it, basically, but then they scrapped it out and they went with the other one, which is based off more or less the Tatula, which was a cheaper designed reel initially, right? So you can go different ways. So as far as spools go, I kind of dove into it a little bit yesterday as far as, you know, it takes longer making straight lines to the amount of material. So that's why back in the day, and I guess there's still some out there, they kind of have a V pattern or whatever, but they could also make a spool that basically, and I'm just thinking out loud as far as like a BFS spool, that if they made it wide enough, that I think they could even get lighter if it necessarily didn't have, you know, almost sharper edges to get down to that depth. If it just kind of started and it just went down and then it came back up. Now maybe not these little spools, but like the bigger one. Let's say that when you get into the bigger 34 millimeter spools, now you may have to redesign your worm gear, and so the line guide won't go maybe all the way to the very edge, because I'm talking about like basically it's just gonna start with a little, and then it's going to get to whatever, you know, they decide how deep it needs to be to hold however much line, and maybe the line guide doesn't go exactly all the way to the edge of some of these bigger spools. And I think you could even get a spool lighter, but then I know what you guys are thinking. I thought it too. That's probably the case. You're going to lose some durability because those edges are part of what holds the thing. So that was just something I was like, I don't know if they've dove into that also as far as what they could do there. Instead of coming up with, where'd it go? Because when I see this, I think they could just do better than that. They just, like this one, for example. It's kind of got a little lip, comes out, goes down, and then goes over. I think that could have been done better. So anyway, let's talk about just names in general. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Come on, China, for one. But, Shimano and Daiwa, for that matter. Sometimes the names they come out with stuff over the years. I understand. I kind of get the Corrado, because I kind of want to say Colorado sometimes. Like, it's just an American name, right? Corrado. They put stuff out now. That's why there's like 8 different reels that are Corrados. That's not necessarily so they could have a full Corrado lineup. They know the Corrado name sells, so they're sticking a bunch of reels into that, you know, if the Corrado name wasn't a big seller, would have probably been named something else. But then they give us these names, and that's something maybe you guys could tell me. When a JDM reel comes out, and it's going to be sold in Japan, why is the lettering on it in English? Why didn't they change that? Like, because not all reels are real close like this one is to the American version, but some of them are like different colors and different whatever, but they'll still put the names in English and that kind of stuff. I never could figure that part out. But then you'll get the instructions, it's all in Japanese. Chinese, they all tend to do that. So I understand that, like, maybe, you know, with the Chinese market, they're just going to try to sell it, outsource it somewhere else other than China, maybe, on a lot of that stuff, and that's why. But if it's a bigger company like Shimano and Daiwa, they have a market going here, going there. They know where the reels are going. Why do they still stick with the name? Because both of these Zillions I have came from Digitaka for 2 reasons. They were cheaper, and they have an aluminum gears in them instead of, I wanted the lighter, and these are still real smooth. I didn't want brass gears. I'm not trying to catch sharks. I'm catching largemouth bass. I know somebody, I don't even know if they've tried it. Somebody's going to try to make plastic gears of some crazy hardened plastic carbon stuff. And I'm sure somebody was probably jump in. Somebody's tried it somewhere down the line. But, yep, Nate's back in. And this one's going to have to be short because I do have to go get Noah. And by the way, I also want to mention it is my birthday. Today's my birthday. And I'm going to share you guys some news. Nothing to do with the channel. This is all on a personal level. You want to talk about the... Thank you. Thank you very much, Nate. But you want to talk about the... Not the best birthday present you get, but it comes pretty close. Because I was at work, got off work, coming home, and we're debating, you know, as far as, well, people I've talked to and everything, because if you don't know, we're in a winter storm advisory here in the Midwest. My boss calls me. Right when I'm backing in the driveway home, I'm like, backing in, get a phone call. Hello. Yeah, I forgot to catch you when you left. We're not working tomorrow or Friday, so I'll see you on Monday. I'm like, oh my God, that's best news I've heard. What a birthday present, right? I was like, so anyway, the holidays had fallen to where, unless you'd put time off at my work anyway, I'm off Saturday and Sunday anyway. I didn't get any extra days off for Christmas, any extra days off for New Year's. I was just straight through. Well, thankfully to that news, now I have to use vacation days, which I always end up cashing out like a week's worth anyway on at the end of the year. Because if you guys know me, I don't hardly ever take vacations. I just go down. I go fishing every weekend that my hands will let me, basically. That's my vacation. I take 2-day vacation every weekend. But anyway, very good news there. So I'm going to try to do some more live streaming or some kind of video, something to do with fishing, not just craziness, kind of like today is. But hey, it's my birthday, right? Yeah. So back to the names real quick. Some of these reels, like I actually kind of like Micro Monster. That's a pretty good name. They had the Micro Fly. Now, if you guys are, and you've heard bad talk about the Micro Fly, which is, in my opinion, is a better looking reel than these, but man, that thing, if all my knowledge is true, is not a good reel. Jimmy from Roar Fishing, he did a review and maybe a few different tests with it. So go check out the Micro Fly, but do not buy it. Check it out. I think it looks good. It's based on that GBC 200 thing, which if you watch the reel test, that black and blue one he did, same frame, and there's several of those, so pay attention to that. There's several of those, I believe, still floating around on AliExpress, named different things, different colors. I think they're all based on a junk platform. Now, what I thought about doing, and before I jump into names, you guys tell me, would you like to see me take these treble reels that people complain about? I'm talking cheap ones, the treble cheap ones that I can afford, $30 to maybe $60, $65, like that Micro Fly, maybe even one of those GBC ones, because I can find them here and there. And would you like to see me buy one of those and then do, you know, whatever I can to help it perform better? Or maybe some of you guys already have those and you're like, yeah, do whatever you can to make one of those work. But if one of you guys has a Micro Fly, well, the thing is shipping so much. It costs $15 to get it to me and $15 back. That's $30. That's half the cost of it. It's like insane. It's like nowadays you have to be dealing with a couple $100 worth of stuff to worry about trying to ship something. But this is one reel that I definitely, and speaking of naming a reel, I don't even know if this reel's got a name. And a lot of them don't. That's why the GH100, we just kind of call them because we don't go by that name. Takumi S, I guess would be the name of this, or the WK1000. But this is honestly a $20 reel that it's not the greatest reel in the world, but it has no real main issues other than I think it was intended for BFS, and it's more of just an all-around bait caster for braid, basically. But drag clicker, all that, awesome reel. But there's some troubled, like the Habo Steed, which I had one. If you guys don't know, you go back in the early days of this channel, I had the XF50 and the Habo Steed doing cast test with. The Habo Steed definitely took a more controlled hand of using it, but I thought that reel, I liked it better overall than the XF50. Now, once the XF50 variants kind of came out, like in oh shoot, Spirit Fox, and then I had the PW100, and then when the purple upgraded or pro version of the PW100 came out, that was my favorite of the bunch of those. I liked it better definitely than the Habo Steed. I liked all of the variants once the XF50, because the original spool in the XF50 was not that great. BFS capable, a BFS spool, but wasn't a real great spool. I know you can still use it. Some of you guys may still be using that reel. If you guys watch any of my videos, I think I showed it in the video. The biggest thing that helped that reel to me was I took that aluminum handle that weighed everything in the knobs off, because it made your hands cold for one thing in cold weather. You guys know me and my fingertips. But then it also, the reel felt lopsided. Almost like these will get, like if you go and put a full-on aluminum drag star, and if I were to put a full aluminum handle with these big knobs on these reels, they'd almost kind of have that feel. More than likely, no matter what, as long as the knobs were bigger. But this one, like it feels, as you can see, I'm holding it, like it is kind of balanced in here now. That XF50, man, that thing was like, womp, womp. You could just feel that weight when you're holding it. So to wrap this up, I'm going to talk real quick about, because I talked to Jay about like putting patents on some of my ideas and that stuff, but I don't really have an idea I think that deserved a patent, other than, can you put a patent on a name, or at least give me credit, because somebody's going to come out with a lightweight,
back it up,
awesome BFS reel, like one of these two, even maybe a little more awesome than these, and they're going to call it the Feather Dragon. And man, you're going to be like, Charlie called that one. And it probably will be an awesome reel. Maybe that's why they just haven't named any of that, because the awesomeness of the newest one, when it does come out, will blow these away. Nah, probably not. But this reel, I've had a couple of you guys ask me in the live streams and in comments of like which one. If I was only going to little trout streams, little bitty places, and I only wanted BFS, ultralight BFS, still this right here. Best bang for your buck. But if you like the versatility, and we're going to find out, I might have time, but we're in blizzard conditions, so I don't know if I'll have 4 days off work. Don't know if I'll be able to find anywhere unless I can find an indoor place to go do some cast testing, and I may look into that. We have one mall. You guys have any malls around you left? We have one around here still, the Independent Center. I'm actually like right down the street from it. I wonder if I just showed up and just started like doing a cast test in their little, because they're nowadays it'll be packed, but normally it's like vacant in like a big huge area, other than where there's this little play area. I'd probably get taken to jail. But anyway, we're going to find out just how far off that spool, or if any, it is there. Now, if this compares almost evenly to that, I'd probably pick this overall, even telling you for only creeks and streams. And some of it comes down to palmability and just what color choice. Does this one, does that one, which one goes better with the combo you're trying to build? But all around, or not all around, true ultralight BFS, still that one over these other variants. You got anything with a rod with purple on it, you better go with the Micro Monster. And I'd probably go I would go this way for sure. I would get the, it's going to look a little pinkish, but it's kind of more like purple. You start adding some other purple to it, it just looks like a, different shade of purple, basically. Still a good looking reel. But this is still my pick, because you can throw BFS, you can throw up to, like I've called it, just because this may get weak if you go to like 20 pound and set the drag real tight and do hook into a monster or a big stump, a tree pounder, and you can't, stop yanking real hard. And I guess I could try that. I got 50 pound braid. I could tighten that drag as tight as it'll go, as I can get it, 50 pound, and put on a rod and yank and see if I can actually break one. I just don't really want to waste a good reel though doing that, and 65 bucks of my own money. So you guys burn it into your memory. If you see a reel come out, right, Feather Dragon. Now here's the thing, a company could come out that makes baits and reels and all that kind of stuff, you know, say Daiwa, for instance. They could come out with the Feather Dragon. Then they could come out with the lineup BFS baits, and they could call it Dragon Feather series, right? You got the, you seeing my play on words here? They just call it the air spools, right? That's their, basically, they've decided air. Airstream Custom, Silver Creek Air, whatever, Gecko Pigeon, Geico Pigeon Air. But I think, man, it's just a cooler name. And then we got some crazy names on some of these things. That's like when these first popped up, they came out with the Black Knight 2, which is a purple reel, if you guys remember it. Then the Dark Wolf, I guess I get it. It's dark, but Daiwa comes out with this version of the Zillion, and then a Zillion HD. But then they come out with I guess they tried to put it so it's like saltwater, but then they call it the Silver Wolf. Well, it's a black reel. I don't know. I don't know what is going on with some of these names. Yeah, Nate says the next video, how far can a gecko pigeon cast a trout magnet in 55-mile-an-hour winds with negative 30 wind chills? No, what I'm hearing is it's going to be 20 sustained, like 20-some mile-an-hour winds with 35-mile-an-hour gusts and 1 to 5. It's like it's not going to be a huge snow amount, but the winds and the fact it will be snowing for like a whole day or whatever, they're giving it, like it could reach like blizzard conditions. So anyway, our work, they usually err on the side of caution because I don't deliver like life-saving medications or anything. It's I was deemed as during the whole COVID thing, I was deemed as essential and I had to work to get out there. But as far as safety, when it comes to is it truly safe to get out there and drive your 400? Well, I drive 400 to 500 miles a day, and I don't want to go 40 mile an hour in blizzard conditions, and that what is usually a 9, sometimes could be a 10-hour day, would probably turn into a 12 to 14-hour day, or could. I know I could do it in my truck. I could do it, but I don't want to do it, and I'm glad I don't have to do it. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go get Noah, going to a birthday dinner. And then I'm going to try to put something together tomorrow. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and figure out how much line I want to put on this, how high up I want to go of this line, and get it ready. And then we got the other reels. They're just here waiting. We'll put them on each rod. And I still haven't decided. I think just for the fact it's my most expensive one, I think my test will be done. I was going to do it on a few different ones. I was going to do it on the streamer. But I think I'm going to do it on my rainy stream. We'll put this on the rainy stream, see how far we can go, and then we'll try all the others so you guys will get an idea on which one of these. I think these are all going to be real close. This may, or actually should, beat the other 3, but those 3 I would say it would be lucky if there's a foot of difference, but we don't know until you try. That's why we got to go out there, right? That's why they play the game. So while I'm out there doing that I'm going to do it with the trout magnet, just so we'll know, but I'm going to do it with this guy mainly. But then while I'm doing all that stuff, I'm going to go either here, which is 6 grams. In one of the videos, I kept calling this wrong. I was calling it 4 grams. That's basically the Proberos. They make a smaller version of I don't know what brand. It's not Proberos, but that's a 4 gram bait, and it's probably a little less now. And I have broke some bills off of these. I don't think they're real brittle, but I've gotten pretty mean with a few of these baits because they're so cheap. They're only a couple bucks. But the Proberos, those are awesome little square bills. I got a few more test subjects. I even broke the bill off this big, I don't even know if they make these anymore. Was it the Flex or the something from a Booyah? That was a good bait until I destroyed it. Did I replace it yet? Nah, I don't know. I don't even know if they make it anymore. It wasn't a bad bait. It's kind of like the It was kind of like the jabberjaw. When it was on good working bait. Like if you threw it out and you caught one, you just kept throwing it because it usually would catch you some fish on these bigger square bills. So anyway, be looking forward to that. The next day, the next good weather day that, well, then I'm off work because it does get dark around here. Pretty early. I'm going to try to hurry up and get that video going. Cast testing shootout video. And if you guys have any other questions about something or what you might want to see on a video while we've got this winter waiting around to actually get out and fish, let me know. Oh yeah, I found something new today, but it's not really new to me. I don't, unless there's a color I see there that isn't offered around here. I noticed that now on AliExpress, they're not called the goat, but you can get, I think it's the baby goat size. I've only seen it in one size. It's like I think it's under 3 inches, and I think the baby goat is 3 inches. But in the Last Tech type material, and they call it 10 times strong, there's that bait is out there now. So if somebody is really interested, you could let me know. But I looked at the pricing, and right now you can go to Tackle Warehouse right now, and the baby goat and the goat and the billy goat are on sale. And I think you can get them cheaper from Tackle Warehouse than what these goat imitations or baby goat imitations are going for on AliExpress. So there is that time. And you got to watch, because there's also jackal baits. I've noticed a lot of different things on AliExpress that I didn't really notice before. Pop up on my feed anyway that didn't. A lot more JDM stuff that if you check around, though, the prices may not be any better than what you can get them here for. So just keep an eye out. There's a lot of stuff going. There's always something new. It seems like every week I pop on AliExpress something different, new, that, and it could be that it's been there, I just haven't spotted on my feed, you know, because that's the way they are. I noticed that my phone, which you're watching right now, I go to AliExpress looking around, it's giving me different stuff, and that's why I use the order and all that, and I'm on there more. But then when I do go and like show you guys on the computer, or every once in a while if I'm home and I just want to, you know, look at a bigger screen and I'll browse through there, it's like a whole nother world. It's like, you know, going from Digitaka to Japan Tackle. It's like, what in the world? It's like different stuff pops up, and I don't know if it's, I guess it's basing off your search history, which I don't really have any on the computer, or nowhere near what I do on the phone. So keep looking, browsing, and you know, if you see something I've talked about and you can't find it, you know, I don't really want you to, but don't be afraid to, you know, hit me up on the comments and like, hey, give me the link to that, this, or that, or whatever. And I will get to it eventually, but if I don't, jump right back in there, you know, a day later, a week later, like, hey, give me this, you know, or in one of these live streams. I don't care if it was something from a month ago. Because I know how difficult it can be. You see something, you're like, how do I get that? There's only one thing that I wanted, and because I don't want those expensive, crazy items, but a sort of expensive thing that would be hard to get. Daiwa, and I've talked about it before, they don't make it anymore. They made a Heartland, almost pistol grip style. I don't even think they called it BFS back then, but it would be very good BFS-y type stuff of rod. And I've seen several pictures. I've shared the pictures here and there. I've asked people on forums, and nobody can track me down one of those rods. They can't even like come up with one that, oh, they want, you know, 200, 500, 800. There's just no, like, nope. Anybody, all those that were sold, they're not selling them, or they're not selling them here or where I could find them anyway. At some point in time, I may show you guys again that picture, because I would love to have one of those rods. I don't know if it would be any better than these BFS type things I got over here, but they made a few different versions and real cool one. Now the Heartland series, they make several different ones, and a lot of them I didn't care for, but that one smaller one, you guys will know the ones I'm talking about, with the cork almost pistol grip type handle, and got kind of big at the end, so you like wouldn't slip out of your hand even more, kind of thing. It was awesome looking. I heard they were awesome working rods. I never owned one. I would like to get my hands on one. All right, I got to get out of here. Would be a bad birthday present, just saying. I'll talk to you guys later, maybe tomorrow. Thanks for watching.